Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This was an unexpected thing that I did not think was going to happen today, but Aces of Thunder has announced that flat screen support will be coming right after launch. So it won't be there during the launch, but it'll be there directly after the launch. And to be honest with you, this is actually very controversial. Yeah, no kidding. It's actually been so controversial that they've come out with a statement even before this video has gone live, which is kind of walking back what we're about to hear, but like not really. It's sort of saying, hey, this is still up for debate. So let's get into why. So for those who are just interested in Aces of Thunder, you know, they haven't really been following the marketing and stuff. It seems like a good thing, right? Because you're going to be expanding the player base. That player base is ideally going to be there for a longer period of time after the game. It improves the game health from the developer's perspective. They get more money in the long term. Makes total sense. Now, what I deal with is the War Thunder Sim community, which is not a huge fan of Aces of Thunder for a few reasons, right? One of them is that they feel like that it's taking development time away from their game mode, which is totally fair. I don't know if it's the 100% the same devs, but it most likely is. And they also feel like, from that side of the aisle, that it's going to be splitting the War Thunder community, and I don't know how I feel about that one entirely, because Aces of Thunder is going to be exclusively VR, at least up to this point, right? Because VR is not the majority of what people fly within War Thunder Sim. It's mostly flat screen people. So I never really entertained that idea that it was pure competition, but I did understand some of the frustrations with Aces of Thunder being mostly just a port over with less features from War Thunder Sim. Now, the difference there was World War I, and we'll certainly touch on that later. But from the Aces of Thunder perspective, if you've been following all the marketing, this might be considered as Strike 2. Strike 1 was when they put the F4U-4 Corsair behind a paywall after they said with no doubt that everything was going to be unlocked upon purchase of the game. They said that there was no excess features and no excess things that you had to pay for, all DLC included. And then people got into the closed beta and we saw a word on the F4U-4 Corsair that didn't show up anywhere else in the marketing for the Corsair, and it's PAC. So that means that this is going to be a separate purchasable aircraft, which goes against that specific marketing thing, which is Strike 1 for a lot of people. A lot of people are very frustrated with that. Now, this, for the VR people who have been really looking forward to this game and just want a release date, right? They've been waiting for over 2 years at this point to just have a release date. Well, they've been seeing Aces of Thunder as an opportunity to just fly against people in VR, right? So even from a War Thunder Sim perspective, sometimes there's advantages to being on a flat screen versus being in VR. A lot of that is clarity, a lot of that is the way that you fight. You have access to a lot more excess controls when you are on a flat screen that people in VR, it makes it a lot more difficult to use for them. So Aces of Thunder was actually kind of seen as a leveling of the playing field. Everybody is in VR, and that was one of the major selling points for those who already have a VR headset. Now, I get that that's exclusive, right? The price of entry for Aces of Thunder for those who do not have a VR headset is super high, probably too high, which is why I don't know how to feel about this specific announcement. It's definitely going to bring in more people. It's going to bring in people that I know were excited about Aces of Thunder, but at the same time, the marketing has all been to VR people. It's all been to VR people. I don't even know if a lot of flat screen people know that this game is coming. And the people that do know that it's coming are frustrated with it because they're from the War Thunder Sim community, because myself and many others have been making content about it, and we've probably been spamming the fuck out of them. So, I know that was a lot, but it's frustrating. This feels like a Strike 2, because now it's not going to be what they said from the marketing. It's not going to be VR exclusive. And I know from the PlayStation perspective that this probably feels like privileged people on PC and with a PlayStation VR and all this stuff screaming from the rooftops, oh no, oh no. And like, I totally get that. Less than a year ago, I was in your exact shoes. I didn't have a VR headset, I didn't have a PC, I was just on PlayStation. And I totally get where you're coming from. But, and here's the kicker, if you want a flat screen version of this game, go play War Thunder Sim. It's already there, and it's been there for like 12 to 13 years. It's already available, and you have more access to a lot of other aircraft. Yes, it's probably going to take you a little bit of time to unlock the stuff, but it's actually free. Now, what you won't have access to, which I think is what the developers are really trying to take advantage of right now, is the World War I stuff, because World War I is what I think they should lean into. It's very good. It's very good. I love the Great War event when I flew that for 24 hours in my VR headset against people who weren't even in full real controls, right? That was just people with mouse aim. And then I hopped into Aces of Thunder, I got access to the closed beta, and I played the crap out of the World War I section, even just against bots. It was so fun. I would always look forward to it. The aircraft feel really nice, and I found a way to turn off the instructor and the auto trim. That video's coming out later today. And they feel so much better. They feel so amazing. So I think that combat is going to be Aces of Thunder exclusive. Like, that will be no matter what, because those aircraft are not in War Thunder Sim. And that's probably the main selling point from my perspective, because that combat is just so good. And I do think War Thunder does the World War II combat better than Aces of Thunder does. Now, if they made it multi-crew where you could access the back gunner seat, like they advertised, then I'd be saying something completely different. I would be saying, oh my gosh, I can fly a plane in VR with my friend who has nothing to do with aircraft, right? Sit in the back seat and be the gunner for me. And that would be an amazing experience. It'd be so much fun. But no, they decided to advertise something that they didn't have coming to the game. Mind you, we only saw that one time in the reveal trailer 2 years ago for an aircraft that isn't even coming to Aces of Thunder. But that got a lot of people very hyped, right? That's a really cool feature that should have been added. And from what I've been hearing, that specific clip has been misinterpreted by a lot of people just through earshot. And they sort of think that we're getting these large bombers like you see in IL-2, which is like massive multi-crew VR, and we're not. Like, I've had a lot of people ask me if they can fly the B-17 with their buddies in Aces of Thunder, and it's like, no. Like, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but no, you cannot. Like, you can't even be a back gunner in a Stuka, because the Stuka isn't coming, even though that was seen in the advertisement. It's a disconnect. That's my main issue with how Aces of Thunder is running this marketing, man. Like, it's not good. It feels like we're being misinterpreted or we're being led down a specific path, and then when they advertise something or they show something like the fucking ME-262, which wasn't anywhere in the beta, and I guarantee you is controlled by the AI, or when it does come to Aces of Thunder, is going to be sold in a pack like the F4U Corsair, that deflates the excitement for Aces of Thunder. This is a whole rant at this point, and it's frustrations, because I enjoy playing the closed beta. I think it's fun. I've made like 38 videos about this game now. Like, I've been covering it from day one. I did not think I was ever going to be able to get a PC before the game came out, which is why I was so hyped about it, because I knew I was eventually going to get a PSVR 2. So for me, Aces of Thunder offered an ability to finally fly in VR. That's like all I've wanted from any flight sim ever, and I got that luckily early with the PC. If I didn't get it early, I would never have been able to cover the closed beta, and I'd be way behind on this stuff. So for a lot of people, this might not even be Strike 2. You know, this might be 2.5, if not Strike 3, and some people are just done with it. They're tired of waiting and asking for a release date under every Instagram post or under every X comment. Like, it's so bad that even on X, like, I think a lot of the Aces of Thunder, when is the release date stuff, is being labeled as spam and isn't even showing up. They're putting the cart before the horse. Why do we have access to the beta before we have a release date? Like, I get they want to polish it and they want to do it right. It is somewhat refreshing, right, that you have a development team that's willing to wait, that's willing to actually give you a full game before they release it. That is something that's super refreshing in today's video game market. I've said that a few times now, but tell people when it's coming out. Like, I just think it's sort of dragging people along, and then you make these Instagram posts that are just teasing. Like, the answer to this question is just to release it, you know? So I'm thinking, all right, next day, this week, we're gonna get the release date, and it's not here. And then they drop this, and now what you're doing is you're causing everybody to freak out, or to have a reaction at the very least, some with excitement and some with disappointment. But the thing is that it's not even going to be there on release day. So now everybody's reacting to something that won't even be there on the game's launch. So it's going to be detrimental on the one side, and it's going to be causing excitement on the other, but then people are going to purchase the game and realize, oh my god, I can't even fly it because I don't have a VR headset. So it's like, it's just going to cause issues. You either do it and it comes out on release, but this is like the worst of the worst in terms of when it's going to be coming and the announcement, and it gives leverage to the people who are like, oh, you're taking all my resources, like, from War Thunder, I mean. Like, it adds a little bit of leverage there, because now this is direct competition. And I'll say the same thing I've said in 3 videos now. If Aces of Thunder wants to succeed, they need to lean into the World War I stuff. Now, the problem with that is that the World War I stuff excels because it's VR. That's why it's so good. Everything is close, everything is tight, everything is skill, especially when you turn off the instructor. Like, it's really really, really well done. I have no idea how that's going to play out in a flat screen, so I think the flat screen people are probably going to go to the later war stuff, like the jets, if we ever get them, or the Typhoon, or some, you know, these other later war World War II aircraft, which is fine, that'll keep that community alive, but then the people who want to fly that in VR are going to be doing it against people who are on a flat screen, which gets rid of the point that it's a level playing field.
I'm just repeating myself at this point.
It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. And I don't normally do these types of videos, but I want people to be justified in their emotions. I want to see it from everybody's perspective. And unfortunately, when I look at this specific announcement and I try to look at it from everybody's perspective, there's a severe amount of disappointment in it from both sides. And I just think that's a weird announcement. Also, you're going against your marketing that you've already put out for a few years, and it's like, it's just kind of odd. You know, I hope it succeeds in the long run, obviously. I still feel passionate about this game, and I still think the combat is really good, especially the World War I stuff. I just thought this was a little unexpected, and I know that they're doing this as a response to public outcry, but I don't even know if that was that many people, man. It kind of feels like they folded under zero pressure, and when you look at their why, like their reasoning for why they would do this, it's because they get more people into the game. They can sell it not as a VR exclusive, but now anybody can purchase it, you know? It doesn't have to have that label that says VR headset required, which means that people are going to purchase it not even knowing that it can be flown in VR, which is going to lead to more sales and the developers get paid as they should, but, you know, not at the expense of everything that you've said for the last 2 years. That's where it gets a little frustrating. Anyways, thank you all for watching. If you guys are still here and you're still watching, just leave a like. If you really hated all my points, you know, make sure to hit the dislike button, but hit it twice just to really get your point across to YouTube. Thank you all for watching. Adios.